Hello.
Hi.
How are you?
I'm good.
Are you ready for 73 questions today?
Yes.
Okay, let's get started. Can you first tell me who you are?
I'm called Angelina. I was born and raised in mainland China, and between 11 to 18 I attended middle school and high school in the UK, and I'm now in Japan.
Okay, thank you. What are you passionate about?
So reading was something I did a lot over adolescence, and in particular reading Japanese culture really influenced my way of thinking and some of my aesthetics. Now in my free time I do a lot of movie watching and listening to music, and recently I've been into translation.
What is your most impressive achievement?
Probably rejecting my university offers in the UK, US, and moving to Japan and starting all over again.
Amazing. What 3 words would you describe yourself?
Enthusiastic, emotional, and a people person.
Where is Waseda located?
In Shinjuku, Tokyo.
What does JCulP stand for?
Japanese Cultures Program.
What kind of department is JCulP?
It is a very globalized, multicultural department. The students are divided into Japanese students and overseas students. The Japanese students will start the academic year in April and enter with the rest of the undergraduate students, while the overseas students will join them in September. We do a lot of different courses on literature, media, the arts. There's a lot of contemporary stuff, and it's a really exciting program.
Okay, thank you for that explanation. What kind of atmosphere does JCulP have?
It's quite liberal and I would say relatively chilled compared to other departments, because the students are encouraged to do all sorts of things and not just focus on exams. However, it can also be academically intensive.
Okay, so why did you choose JCulP?
First of all, so my interest in Japanese culture developed over adolescence, and it had always been my dream to experience the culture and study it living in it. So that was one of the biggest reasons I decided to move to Japan, and at the same time JCulP was one of the only undergraduate programs that offered courses on literature, media and the arts.
Okay, so can you rate your university experience out of 10?
It would be a 6 or 7.
Is it true that you have to be good at English to enter JCulP?
I wouldn't say that you won't be allowed into the program if you spoke poor English. However, it would definitely enhance your experience here and make your life easier.
So are you happy with your choice?
Yes.
What do you love about JCulP?
The people, and by people I mean the sense of community of both Japanese students but also people who have backgrounds overseas. You get to connect to people who've had similar experiences to you and are passionate about things that you're passionate about, but more so the people-professor relationship is one of my favorite parts.
Amazing. What song would you describe your university experience so far?
Changes by David Bowie.
Okay, so what activities, clubs, circles are you involved in?
I was once involved in Waseda Orchestra, the symphony orchestra, in my first year, but then I realized I had commitment issues and quit.
Okay, so how do you manage your studies?
I'm very bad at following a schedule, so I don't tend to write many schedules, but I force myself to work before I play.
Okay, so where are we right now?
We are currently in front of the Toyama library, and by the way, this is the Toyama campus, which hosts the faculty of letters, arts and sciences, and this is where you'll find most of the JCulP students. To our right is the cafeteria, where we have lunch and dinner and wihan, and in front of me is building 33, where we have most of our lessons.
Okay, thank you very much. Can you show me the rest of the campus?
Yes.
Okay, let's go. Can you describe your typical school day?
I didn't put in many period ones this term, and I took relatively less credits, so my day usually starts at around 9:30. I'd get up and get dressed, get ready to leave the house, and I would have period 3, 4 and sometimes 5, have a quick dinner with friends on campus and then go home.
So how do you come to campus?
By train.
How long does it take for you to arrive on campus?
30 to 40 minutes.
Do you do any part-time jobs?
I used to, but I also quit them.
Okay, what is your favorite place on campus?
Probably this building. The upper floors of this building contains the offices of the professors teaching at the Faculty of Letters, Arts and Sciences, and I find it really interesting to just walk around, roam around the corridors and see what professors are there and what they're studying.
Awesome. So how did you apply to JCulP?
So for the application, I really just sampled off the official website, and actually something to mention is that I already did one round of application for the American unis in my last year in high school, so I had a lot of my high school transcripts and the recommendation letters at hand. That was also something that was required for the JCulP application, so that and plus an essay question.
Okay, so if you don't mind, could you tell us your entrance method?
I really just, again, followed the instructions on the official website. They're pretty straightforward as long as you have all the materials at hand. However, I would say check the deadlines regularly and be aware that in Japan, a lot of the times online/electronic submission is not allowed, and you would have to post them by mail.
Okay, so how was the process?
I think it was quite straightforward. Again, I didn't have to take an interview, fortunately, but I got my reply slightly later than I thought, and again, checking deadlines was very important.
Okay, so do you have any tips?
Tips would be, do not be afraid to ask questions, send a lot of emails or give them phone calls and check with them about things that you're unsure about.
Okay, thank you. What kind of classes can you take in JCulP?
So the core curriculums are usually focused on literature, history, and kind of some of the classes were about how to conduct university level research in English and write essays. You're also allowed to take courses beyond JCulP, which would cover stuff like art, gender, anthropology, so there really is a large pool of things to choose from.
Okay, JCulP is an English-based program. Do you take Japanese classes as well?
Yes, so I started taking Japanese language lessons when I first entered university, and then when I felt more prepared, I started signing up for Japanese courses and taking them alongside other Japanese students, which would be on other things such as translation, and I even tried to learn Spanish and Japanese.
So how was the process of transitioning to a Japanese academic system?
It is quite different to studying in the West, i.e. there would be less chances to discuss in class and express your opinions. The teachers are very interesting people. They've all been through a lot and have a lot to tell, to offer. So I think part of the key for me was to talk to the teacher if you're personally struggling with the method of teaching or the atmosphere, and they're all really friendly and willing to do the best they can to adjust your needs.
Okay, what is the last class you have taken?
It's actually a Saturday, so I don't have any classes today.
Okay, what is the class you like the most so far?
One of the best courses I attended at Waseda is called Honyaku Bunkaron. I took the course last semester and it was given by a professor called Ono Masatsugu-san. And yes, so it was a course on translation.
Can you tell me a class that you're curious about?
This is not a JCulP class, but there was a course on dinosaurs in my first year here, and I unfortunately could not get a place in it.
What is the average class size?
For JCulP, it's usually between 30 to 40 people.
Are most of your classes held online or face-to-face?
Face-to-face.
Do you feel like there are more returnees in JCulP?
I wouldn't say that returnees composite a majority, but yes, you would find some of them in JCulP.
So how many languages can you speak?
I can speak, I would like to say 3, so Chinese is my mother tongue, and English is my first foreign language, Japanese being my third, and I try to do some Spanish.
Do you currently study any languages?
No, but I did do 2 semesters of Spanish at university.
How were the professors like in JCulP?
They're really chill people, and they've all been through a lot, so they have really interesting stories to tell, but at the same time they can seem slightly intimidating when you do not approach them. But once you approach them, they're all really jolly, funny people.
Okay, thank you. What kind of students are in JCulP?
Again, I think diverse would be a good word. And also, yes, so the most interesting thing is that everyone is like a little professor in their area of interest. So yeah, talk to them and ask them what they're interested in, and everyone have a lot to talk about.
Amazing. JCulP only has about 30 students in each grade. Is everybody close to each other?
Yes, I would like to say that everyone know each other's faces and names, but due to COVID, we did end up in slightly smaller groups.
Was it easy to make friends?
Yeah, I think so, but at the same time, some people do tend to be shyer, so again, reach out.
How many assignments do you usually have?
We usually would have 4 to 5 essays, so 2,000 to 3,000 word essays at the end of term, and over the term it's just short responses to each lesson.
So would you say you're sleep deprived?
Today, yes.
How long do you study a day?
I usually study between 2 to 3 hours a day, and during the end / in the middle of the term, sometimes it would be 3 to 4 hours.
So what is your go-to study method?
I don't think I necessarily have a methodology, but for essay writing, definitely just get started.
Where's your favorite place to study?
My favorite place would probably again be Building 33, because they have really nice, clean classrooms, and they have huge whiteboards.
Okay, so how do you plan for your essays?
I usually force myself to just write one paragraph, because one paragraph is enough to get your brain going, and you'll start getting ideas once you get through that one paragraph.
Amazing. If you are stuck on a deserted island and you only have one book, what are you reading?
I would probably be reading a book by one of my favorite scriptwriters called Sakamoto Yuzi. He writes excellent dialogues, and another reason for bringing that book with me is because I keep a lot of letters written to me by people that I care a lot about in that book, so I'll be able to have them with me too.
Amazing. Your favorite food on campus?
Curry, given at the cafeteria almost every day.
So what are 3 items in your bag that are essential in uni life?
So, let's see. Here are my headphones, which I would always be using when I'm studying for something. Then I have my comb for my fringe, because that's an essential part of my existence. And I have ryukyaku-san because I speak too much.
Okay, thank you for sharing them. What is the best thing that happened to you this month?
Going to Hanabi Taikai with one of my best friends here.
Okay, tell us the most genuine advice you've gotten from someone.
So this is a line from one of my favorite TV shows called Fleabag, and it says, "It will pass," meaning that no matter good or bad, everything that happens in your life will eventually be over, and if you're going through a hard time, it will be okay.
Okay, what is one advice you would give to your high school self?
Trust your instincts, because most of the things that you're passionate about right now will come true and will lead you to where I am in 3 years.
Amazing advice. What is the most rewarding thing about being a JCulP student?
Let me think.
That's okay, take your time.
Sorry, do you mind repeating the question?
Yeah. What is the most rewarding thing about being a JCulP student?
Seeing yourself get better at something that you love.
Awesome. Do the majority of the students in JCulP want to change the world or want to be rich?
Neither, I would say.
Okay. What do you aspire to become in the future?
I think I would like to become someone who would make my current self satisfied and proud.
Amazing. What are your goals?
My goals will be my current goal would be to get better at human relationships.
Okay. Do you feel like there are more people from outside of Tokyo in JCulP?
That's not necessarily the case. We have people from both in and outside of Tokyo.
Okay. What is the library at Toyama campus like?
Toyama campus has a really good collection of books related to Japanese culture, and my favorite part is that they also have some English publications and a very extensive collection of newspapers and magazines.
How fashionable are people in JCulP?
You could be as fashionable as you want or as not fashionable as you want.
Okay. Is JCulP diverse?
Yes.
Do you think it should be more diverse?
Well, the more the merrier.
Fair. What is unique about JCulP?
I think, again, the community, because it's quite rare for me, well, it had been quite rare for me throughout my life to find people with a similar background to myself, that being not being from Japan but very interested in the culture, but also having some experience in the West. So I did get to meet several individuals who have similar upbringings like me at JCulP, and having been able to talk to them and exchange our experiences had been a very enjoyable memory.
Okay. What is the one thing you would change about JCulP?
Probably the number of courses we get to take, because it's a relatively recent program and I think they're still trying to recruit more professors. So currently at the moment I think I've took most of the courses that I'm interested in, and I'm looking forward to there being more in the future.
What is the dating culture like in JCulP?
People tend to be shy.
Okay. Do you recommend JCulP to everyone?
I'm definitely very, very fond of the program. However, I do think it's one of those programs that people would either love or hate, because you have to spend a lot of time doing a lot of reading, and I think I would only recommend it to people who are really passionate about this.
Hey, thank you for that honest answer. What is one thing you want to let aspiring JCulP students know?
Reach out. I feel like I've been saying that a lot today, but people are genuinely really willing to help, and I think speaking to professors and speaking to people who are actually here would definitely give you a better idea of what to do, and that was something that was really helpful to me over my application period.
What is your social media?
This, whatever this is below.
Okay, thank you. So what should I do on Toyama campus before I leave?
I would again recommend my favourite spot, that being building 33. So sometimes when I feel slightly depressed, I would go and walk around the upper floors of 33, which is where all the offices are. And in those offices are currently active novelists, translators, academics who are out there influencing the Japanese academic world. And it's really interesting to feel so close to them and see what they're studying in the offices.
Okay, amazing. So one final question. Can we hear the backstories about your tattoos?
Yes. So I have two. This one is my first ever tattoo, and it's a tattoo of one of my first cats that I got when I was 6. She passed away at the age of 15 last year, and I didn't get to spend her last months with her, sadly, because of COVID. So I still get to see her every morning and say hi because of this tattoo. Well, thanks to this tattoo. And this one is a picture of a moth that kind of looks like a butterfly, and I just fell in love with it instantly because it was so pretty.
Okay, thank you for sharing them. Okay, so those are all the questions. Thank you.
Thank you. Have a nice day.
Yeah, you too. Bye.
Bye.